Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're skipping the usual stuff and jumping straight into the breathtaking climax of one of history's greatest stories, Homer's epic, The Odyssey. You know, most people remember the monsters, the angry gods, the epic battles, right? But we're going to zoom in on the very end of the story to uncover this incredible and honestly totally fascinating architectural and botanical secret that's been hiding in plain sight. It's literally the secret that resolves the whole 20-year epic, and for sure, it'll completely change how you visualize the ancient world. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so set the scene. Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca, has finally made it home. He's been gone 20 years, 10 fighting in the Trojan War, another 10 lost at sea. He sneaks into his own palace, takes out all those greedy suitors trying to steal his kingdom, and now, finally, he's standing right in front of his wife Penelope. But here is the high-stakes mystery. How on earth does he definitively prove who he is to her? I mean, 20 years is a long time. People change. They didn't exactly have photo IDs back in ancient Ithaca, and in a mythological world where gods can literally shapeshift to look like anyone, just looking like Odysseus isn't going to cut it. Penelope needs absolute, unshakable proof that this battle-hardened guy is actually her husband.
Okay, let's dive into this. To test him, Penelope comes up with this incredibly cunning trick. She doesn't interrogate him with obscure trivia. She doesn't ask to check some specific scar. Nope. She turns to a servant and gives what sounds like a totally innocent command. She just tells the servant to go ahead and move their sturdy marriage bedstead out of the bridal chamber so the stranger can sleep on it. Just move a piece of furniture. Sounds completely mundane, right?
Well, the second she says this, Odysseus absolutely loses it. He erupts in total outrage. And just think about this for a second. Why would this ultra-tough wanderer, a guy who has outsmarted man-eating cyclopes, survived the literal wrath of sea gods, and actually traveled to the underworld and back, why would he suddenly fly into a furious panic over rearranging some bedroom furniture? It's because Penelope just hit a nerve that goes to the very core of his identity. He knows something about that specific bed that literally no one else in the world could possibly know.
Now, what's really interesting as we look at this structure is the massive secret behind it. The bed isn't just, a standard piece of furniture made from chopped-up lumber. It is literally built out of and around a living, deeply rooted olive tree. Odysseus didn't just build a bed, he found a thriving olive tree growing right there in the courtyard of his palace, carved one of the bedposts directly from its living trunk, and then built the entire stone bridal chamber around the tree itself. Because the bed is physically anchored into the earth, it literally cannot be moved without destroying the entire room and killing the tree. Let's slow down and break down the botanical engineering here, because this wasn't just slapped together on a Saturday afternoon. This was painstakingly cultivated over decades. Step 1. That deep-rooted olive trunk serves as the immovable central bedpost. Step 2. Instead of just chopping off the rest of the tree, Odysseus trained the living branches outward to form an organic, living frame for the bed itself. And then, Step 3, to finish off the sleeping surface, a web of pliant oxhide thongs was stretched super tightly across that living wooden frame. It is an absolute masterpiece of molding nature right into human architecture.
But hold on, this creates a massive architectural puzzle. Sure, maybe a modern living tree chair can weave branches out in an open garden, but how exactly do you keep a massive tree alive inside a dark, stone bedroom that has a watertight roof? Trees need sunlight, they need rain to survive. If you slap a completely sealed roof over it, well, the tree dies. But if you leave a giant hole in the roof, the king and queen are going to get rained on while they sleep.
And this brilliantly illustrates the logical scientific solution to that exact problem. It's all about how the tree is routed. The rooted trunk rises up as that unshakable bedpost, right? But then a major living bough branches off and is trained to bend horizontally away from the bed. This thick living bough essentially acts as a bridge. It passes right through the architectural boundary just before it hits the roofline. Once it clears the bedroom, it emerges out into an open courtyard. Out there in the fresh air, the canopy can grow upward, leaf out, and catch all the sun and rain it needs. That keeps the whole organism, and the bed itself, vibrant and alive, while the bedroom roof stays completely sealed and watertight.
Notice the tactile details of this construction for a second, too. That sleeping surface we mentioned, it's made of woven oxhide thongs. And the ancient text actually tells us these leather straps were dyed a really rich royal purple. They were stretched with extreme tension across that living frame, creating this pliant, supportive web. So you have this amazing contrast, the unyielding, rock-solid strength of a deeply rooted tree trunk, paired beautifully with the flexible, brilliantly dyed oxhide holding the couple.
Literally every single detail has a purpose.
So the crucial point here is that this bed is way, way more than just a clever piece of ancient engineering. It carries this profound symbolic weight for Odysseus and Penelope's marriage. First, it represents rootedness. The relationship isn't just portable, it is literally embedded into the Ithacan soil. Second, identity. The very existence of this bed is a deeply private secret shared only between the two of them. By freaking out at the thought of it being moved, Odysseus proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's the man who shares that history. Third, it's immovable. Just like their intense loyalty to one another over 20 agonizing years, the bed can't be shaken, it can't be relocated. And finally, it perfectly captures marriage as a living thing. It isn't some dead, static object. It has roots, it needs care, and it constantly reaches out for the light to grow. It is a beautiful, beautiful metaphor that honestly rings just as true for relationships today as it did 3,000 years ago.
Let's move on and see how this builds into one of the most stunning structural ironies in all of literature. I mean, think about who Odysseus is at his core. He is the ultimate wanderer. For 20 solid years, he has been tossed across oceans, exploring strange islands, moving endlessly through both the known and the unknown world. Yet the definitive proof of his identity, the one single thing that brings his massive epic journey to a close, is an object that literally cannot leave home.
The man is the wanderer. The marriage bed is the fixed point. It is just a stunning thematic contrast. Odysseus's entire identity is ultimately anchored by the very thing that cannot move. By passing Penelope's test, he finally stops being the wanderer and reclaims his rightful place as the husband, permanently anchored to his home. This incredible fusion of botany, architecture, and poetry really makes you wonder what other seemingly magical myths from the ancient world might actually be brilliant architectural masterpieces just waiting for us to decode them. Keep that question in the back of your mind as you explore more ancient texts. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.